Sorry guys, sorry for the delay and the video getting cut short. I'm not sure the live went off. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. We have Mr. Allen with us today for this discussion. I'm sorry there was some network error. I don't know. That's why I had to restart it again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there was some interruption with the network, so I had to restart it.
Oh, yeah, I realized it was network problem.
Yeah. Yes, sir. You're telling something.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have some problems like that down here sometimes.
Yes. So, how have you been experiencing the bold Abdullah moment? Like, we are so scared sometimes to go and accept boldly. So, how would you like to suggest the audience to go bold?
Okay, the first I like to say to people is that fear is actually false evidence appearing real. And fear is not something that is natural. Okay? If we look around us, we see nature, and we see nature is always in its purpose. Nature always giving us what we so desire for survival. And it's not been done out of fear, it's been done out of love. Okay, so fear is actually the opposite of love. So when we have fear, we are out of alignment and we are blocking all the blessings in our life when we operate under the energy of fear. So for people who are fearful, it is because they do not know exactly who they are as yet. Okay, so that's why they might still be fearful.
That's very important. Like, how would you describe it to the audience? Like, how would you remind them as who they are?
Okay, the first thing you have to know is that life itself is your true essence. Okay, and life cannot die. Okay, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, and everything is energy, vibration, and frequency, and you're a mass of energy. Therefore, you are a spirit having a human experience. So if you think in terms of you're a human trying to be spiritual, then you would operate in doubt and you would operate in fear. But when you realize that your spirit, you live from the world of spirit, you live from the world of possibilities, from the world where all things are possible to you. This is where you live in the realm of being limitless. So you wouldn't have no need, to be fearful. So what a person must know is that, they are no different to the life that they are experiencing. They're just experiencing themselves. Yeah.
Perfect. So, how long is it has been for since you have discovered Neville?
I think it's around 2014. Yeah, around 2014, I started becoming more conscious, and it all started when I decided to quit some of my jobs because I was trying to do four jobs, and I told my employers that I have a spiritual side about me and I'm gonna seek that spiritual side, and they all thought I was crazy. All I knew is that my intuition was telling me that my life deserved to be more. I deserve more in my life. And even before that, from a very young age, with tears in my eyes, I beat my chest and I asked myself, who am I? And so my whole life has been set out to discover who am I and who is God for myself. So because that was in me from a very young stage, seeking to know who I am, it reached a point in my life whereby I had to make a decision. So I had to quit most of my jobs and hold to just one business I had, and I decided to just let that work for me and start to seek the spiritual side of me. And from there I started listening to motivational speakers. Yeah.
I guess I've also come along the same lines. I'm also an aerospace engineer by profession. I had to drop my master's. Like, I realized my spiritual side and had to give up on that. So I can understand what, somewhere along the lines, what you have experienced.
Yes, and most people who do not understand, they will think that it's something crazy
Yes.
because they couldn't understand me saying, that I'm going to quit my job because I want to seek my spiritual self. It seems to most people that like as if I was losing my mind.
Yes.
But I knew that there was something that was missing, and I had to find that missing link. Yes.
So how would you define your missing link right now to somebody who is like, you know what, I am based on fate, I'm a part of the destiny. How would you give your advice to them?
Okay, what I will say to them is that your real identity is your divinity. So all of us here, we are looking for identity in all the wrong places. Many of us, we associate our identity with our family, or what education we may acquire, or the other different things, right? But your real identity is your divinity in terms of discovering your divine self. And that is what will bring satisfaction. That is what would help you to know your purpose. So knowing your identity, yeah, that's what means the most to me. And that's what I will encourage other people to seek, to know their true identity.
That's beautiful. We often sometimes, oftentimes we confuse our identity with this human limited self. But I love what you mentioned, that going beyond the identity and knowing the God self is something important. Thank you. Thank you for saying.
Yes. And I just want to add that the reason why we think that way is because of the systems that have been put in place to keep us to think that way, to keep us, poor, to keep us feeling a sense of lack and deprivation when we are more than that. Yeah.
So, what is your favorite topic that makes you feel like, yes, this is something that has to be discussed in the community that is often missed?
I believe in teaching people that imagination creates reality. Yeah, and it, like, for example, right, in my country, in the Caribbean, most people believe that education is the key to success. Okay, and that would have inspired me to write a book called Meditate to Eradicate Poverty. So what really stands out mostly for me is that imagination creates reality, and I want to change the narrative from people believing in education more than their imagination, because imagination is what creates education. Because the bench was first imagined, the pen was first imagined, the pencil was first imagined, the book was first imagined, the desk was first imagined, the building that they refer to as school, that too was first imagined. So I see that many of us were sabotaging ourselves by believing in education more than our imagination. So my thing is to push imagination, create reality, meditate to eradicate poverty.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful, and like apt. I would say so apt and absolute. Today morning,
Yeah.
I just had a realization, like I had a big desire, like a very bizarre desire, and suddenly I was in a state like, oh, how is it going to happen? How can I? And then there was this answer: your imagination has created it all. Your imagination has created all the wealth. So why do I need to worry when I have my imagination with me?
Exactly. And if a person would just be observant enough to look around and look at nature, nature reflects nothing but abundance. Nature doesn't reflect lack, okay, or scarcity. When the rain comes, it comes in abundance. You look at the sea, it's abundance. You look at the trees, they bring forth in abundance. And they are all a reflection of us. Okay, because as it is within, so is it without. Everything that we are seeing on the outside is a reflection of that which is within. And even the Bible tells you that in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 11, it tells you that everything exists in the mind of man. Even eternity exists in the minds of man. So all riches exist within you. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, how would you, like, sometimes people find it hard to believe that creation is finished. Somewhere along the lines, we try to bring up, like, how do I make this happen? Still, getting in the stages of creating something. So, what would your
Mhm.
advice be?
Okay. when it comes to creating, right, it's not as if we are actually creating something that is new. It's already there. It's just that you're vibrating to that frequency so you can attract it. Let me put it in a simple way. Okay, anyone who knows what a remote control is, and anyone who would have had, like, cable television, you can switch from one channel to another channel. Okay, it's different frequency. So too is our mindset. So when we change our mindset, it's as if we're changing frequency. So whatever frequency we want to dwell on, we change our mind to that, and then we'll be able to attract it. We call it creation, but it doesn't mean that it just comes up just like that. It's just that we vibrate on that same level to be able to attract it, because we are magnetic and we are electrical. And when we have our thoughts, they are like electrical frequency that is going out. Okay, and it will never return unto us void. It tells you that in the Bible, in Isaiah chapter 55 and verses 11. It says that my words will not return unto me void, but it must accomplish that which I sent it to and prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So it's all our thoughts that is going out as frequency and must come back to us.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Here, I guess the point that has to be, reiterated is it has to come back. It has a compulsion
Yes.
to come back. Because oftentimes I've noticed people coming up like, what if it doesn't happen? Do I do something? And that's the point that you
That's
mentioned.
Yes, and that's because they're missing the law of rhythm. Okay, the law of rhythm, you can easily see it in the tide. So the same tide that comes in is the same tide that goes out. It's like a pendulum swing of a clock. What goes so, come back so. And the older folks used to say, what goes around, comes around. It's the same thing, the law of rhythm. That is why any person who believe in the work of Neville and Abdullah, they have to get familiar with the laws that governs humanity. And when they get familiar with these laws, then they will get to understand this truth even more.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Very beautiful and important. So, do you have any particular experiences? Like, the entire Neville community often searches for Abdullah and the content regarding to him. Do you have anything different that you have access?
Yes. I would have experienced what Neville referred to as the promise, which is the birth from the skull. And that's why I always point out clearly to people that it's always better to seek the being first more than the getting. Because most people are focused on manifesting this, manifesting that. I want to get this, I want to get that. But I want to say to you that doesn't matter what you manifest in this world, it's not going to give you the happiness that you really need, or the contentment, I should say. Okay, you will still feel empty, you will still feel bored. Like, for example, if a man has little or no money, he's suffering on one extreme. But if a man has too much, he will suffer on another extreme also, where he get bored and so on. Okay, so there must be a balance, and that is why you must seek first to know the kingdom. Okay, you're told to seek ye first the kingdom, and then all these other things will be added unto you. So it was until I had that experience of the promise, the birth from the skull, that I realized that we were lied to, and that this message is not just about manifesting things only. It's about knowing our true identity. It is about knowing who we are. It's about knowing how powerful we are. And I could chase it way back to my ancestors, where they have all been teaching us to know thyself. They've been saying, man, know thyself. Even on the grave, they would have placed it, man, know thyself. So this whole message of Neville and Abdullah, it's more than manifestation, it's self-realization, because true salvation is self-realization. So I'm more interested in people finding salvation within themselves more than looking for vindication from the material things, because when you find yourself first, then you will find also the creative power that is in you, and you will use that power to achieve your every desire. So my encouragement to people is to put the heart in the cat. Do not put the cat before.
Yes.
And if I just add one more thing, because of my experience, I normally teach and speak from experience. I don't like to speak things that I do not know of. I speak only of my experience, and that is the reason why I speak a lot about what Abdullah wanted Neville to convey to us, which is basically self-realization. There's nothing greater than self-realization. It is self-realization that brought us all of the great inventions, because all the men and women, they had to believe in themselves. They had to know that greatness was within themselves for them to bring forth things like the airplane, the telephone, and the medium of exchange that we all use on this planet, which is money. Okay, so there have to be a power that is greater than money that create money. So I can't just try to tell people, get this, get that, manifest it. No, I'm saying to you, seek to know yourself first, love yourself, and embrace yourself first, because that is what would give you the feeling. Because the feeling that you must have that your wish fulfilled, it all comes from love. And it starts with you first loving yourself. That's why Abdullah told Neville, you must start first with self. But we see there are many people who are not starting with self. They're starting with the getting. And that is the same deception. I see it that way as the same deception as those who've been putting you in the rat race and give you a form of education that is based on competition, where you're out there in a rat race. That's why I say, find yourself first. Know who you are first. First things first.
Yes, that's beautiful. And even though we came out on this journey with desires, but what you mentioned is so right. Finding ourselves has built up such a connection right now with the power within, that you don't feel empty or looking on the outside for results, looking on the outside for confirmation. Now you're satisfied. Now you're complete. Like, I know it's all me. It's all my creation. It's all, comes out complete. I do not have to feel empty.
Exactly, because like, for example, if right now the stock market crash and it seems like the economy is, just being destroyed, and you have your peace, you have your joy, you have your contentment, that would keep you in time of job. It would keep you. And we see that with Abdullah and Neville Goddard in a time of Great Depression. And we know history repeats itself. And we see Abdullah have kept his composure. Abdullah wasn't thinking about the market. So Abdullah knew what kind of power he had. And that was what he conveyed to Neville. And that is what he was conveyed to all those people who listen to us. We must give them that sense of security.
Your voice is not audible. Yes, it's good now. It's good now.
Okay, it's good now.
Yeah, yes. So there was a question asked here in the comments, that why is life such a struggle with anxiety and depression?
Okay, the reason why life could seem like a struggle to some people is because of their expectation. They're looking to get what they want from seeking from the outside instead of the inside. Okay, because if you start from within, then everything else will reflect itself on the outside, because whatever you're facing on the outside is a reflection of what is going on inside. So all that parts we need to do is to fix the mind, because if you fix your mind, you fix everything.
Right. And this is a line that I mentioned yesterday as well, and I would just like to put it out here. Now, Neville wrote it in one of his lectures, that we often experience struggles, depression, anxiety, just as a chance to look on the other side of the picture, to expand, to give your the desire, the solution a chance, to feel yourself, what would it feel like to be this person. So the anxiety is just coming to wake you up. Wake up, you can't change it. That's the way it is, if you can see.
Yes, I agree with you, because I refer to Earth as a school, and when you're in Earth school, you're here to learn, you're here to grow, you're here to expand, and so the circumstances of life is not to destroy you,
but it's to help you to grow and to help you to expand so that you question yourself if this is really what you want or if you want more. And if you want more and you be honest with yourself, well, then that's how the way will be shown to you. So yes, all of these things are for us to really actually exercise our mind and to grow and to expand.
Yes, yes. And also adding another note that instead of seeing as why is life happening to me, instead of playing the victim role, the victim card, just separate yourself from that victimhood and accept yourself that what if I was this infinite power and what if life would look different? Give it a different perspective. And the way it is going to affect you is going to change.
Yes, you definitely have to change your perspective. You can't expect to put new wine with old wine.
Yeah.
Or patch old clothes with new clothes, right? It has to be a whole new thinking. Okay, it's a realization, it's a discovery, and for you to come into what you would like, to possess, you have to definitely change your mindset. So you definitely have to change direction.
Sometimes people find it difficult to change that concept of self because they're so used to the old story. So do you have anything for those to experience a shift?
Yes, as I always teach people, in order to experience a shift, you always have to start with love. Okay? And as Abdullah said to Neville, you must always begin with self. Because you have to understand cause and effect. Okay? Many people are looking at the effect because the circumstances and what they're facing is just the effect. But you are the cause. You're the cause of everything in your life. And if there's one thing a person must take away from this life, is that they are the cause and the cure. You're the cause for everything in your life and you're the cure for everything in your life. And if you would only hold yourself responsible for whatever is taking place in your life, then you'll become a better person.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yes. So how do you view time? What is your perception about time?
From my experience, time is not real. Time is just an illusion because I would have had experience whereby I would have gone forward and I would have had experience where I would have gone backward. I went back in a past life already. And I remember one time I had an experience whereby I would have already saw myself at the place 24 hours before it ever happened. So I know time is not real. Okay, most people believe time is real, but it is not. It is not real. It's an illusion. As a matter of fact, nothing that we see around here is real. The only thing that is real is consciousness. Our consciousness of being, our awareness of being. That's the only thing that is real. Everything else here is imaginary. Like for example, where you are at right now and you are sitting and speaking to me from, it's only existing in my mind. It's imaginary to me, but to you, it seems well solid that you're right there and you're sitting, standing, whatever, okay, and around you feels solid. Same thing with me here. And what I'm experiencing right here, being here, and what you experience there, only you know your experience and only I know my experience. Okay, and from experience, I'm saying to each and everyone, everything that you see around here is only a projection of that which is within. Okay, so this world is an illusionary world, it's an imaginary world. The real being is imagination. And that's the true essence. That is God. So we are all God experiencing ourselves.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love this point. Neville, I've read in this Neville's lecture as well, where he says that everything is rooted in you. Everything is existing in you. And that cuts down so much ease, like, you know what, oh, that person is over there, this thing is over there. And then you wake up like, no, it is all in me. Why am I looking at the outside?
Exactly, because everything takes place in the perception, in our perception. So basically, we are actually the perceiver and we are beholding the perception. And many people beholding the perception and try to make the perception higher than the perceiver. Right? Many people are beholding the creation and they are upholding the creation higher than the creator. But the creator is who brought the creation. Okay? So that is why, as I was saying earlier on, that we have to put more value on ourselves. our inner self, and on the inside and the outside. Okay, yeah.
That's beautiful. So we have a question from Andrew. He says that, can you share your experience on buying the pearl?
Share your experience on
buying the pearl.
On what?
Buying the pearl.
Buying the
pearl of great price. Okay, I'll just highlight.
Oh, the pearl of great price.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The pearl of great price is speaking of your inner self that will give you everything. When you find that pearl, you find the answer or the phenomena of life. It's speaking of your true self, your true essence, which goes back to your true identity, which is your divinity. That's the pearl of great price. That is why the Bible tells you, when you find the pearl of great price, you sell everything that you have and you hold to the pearl of great price. And when you realize that imagination creates reality, you will deny everything else and you will hold to imagination, because you would know that no one else can imagine for you in terms of having a thought for you. Okay, that's your power, that's your individual power, and everyone has been given that power, but it's how you use that power. So the pearl of great price. It's
so
your higher self.
Did you have any experience that led you to buying the pearl as an absolute fact?
Yes, as I would have said before, if I was to measure my experience when I was trapped in religion and trapped in believing more in education more than my imagination, and believe more in politics and politicians and so on, if I was to measure my life when I had that kind of mindset to now, it's totally different. So I can only judge based on experience, because results do not tell lie. So I would have seen the results of trusting my imagination and believing in my God self, and I would have seen the results. So I judge from results. So based on the results that I've been getting in my life and how I've been feeling and how I've progressed, and how I learned to accept myself and embrace myself more, I can tell you the difference. Okay? So that's all you would know. It's only from experience a person can really know.
So there's one more question that we have, that this person is losing faith. Faith is losing. I manifested some things, but now ego mind is triggering, and so how to solve it?
That is why the very first thing we have to do is work on ourselves first. Build that confidence, build that surety, get more knowledge, be more informed about the subconscious mind. If I should give any encouragement to that person, I would say to that person, learn more about the subconscious mind, how your subconscious mind works. Now, your subconscious mind is like the womb of a woman. Whatever seed is sown in the womb of a woman, she will give birth. Okay, so a woman can bring forth a child for any kind of man. A Chinese man, a Japanese man, a white man, a black man, an Indian man. It doesn't matter, because the woman's womb is impartial. So too is the earth. And we refer to the earth as Mother Earth. And the earth always gives us whatever we need. And the earth doesn't care what kind of seed you sow in it. Once the seed is sown in the earth and the life is in the seed, it will bring forth. So too is our mind. Okay, whatever we put into our subconscious mind and we impress that feeling, the subconscious mind doesn't know a lie from truth. It doesn't know good from evil. So anything you impress your subconscious mind with, that is what you will get. So if you impress your subconscious mind with the feeling of lack and scarcity, that's the result you will get. But if you impress your subconscious mind with abundance, prosperity, and plenty, that is what will happen in your life. So it all has to do with what you are impressing upon your subconscious mind. So for that person, they need to learn as much as possible concerning their subconscious mind. And I would like to say to them that they can read Joseph Murphy's book, the power of your subconscious mind. And he was also taught by Abdullah, okay, along with Neville Goddard. So get that book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
I loved your Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I started with it and I've read it nearly 9 to 10 times. And I can completely vouch for what you mentioned. You know, you're learning, you know, just reading that book shifted my entire mindset. Like, what if I was so infinite? What if I was so powerful? What if I have so much knowledge? Just changing that, it brought all the shift. So I can vouch you on that.
Yeah, I saw like someone was asking what are your thoughts on Joseph Murphy, right? And I want to say Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard should be read together. So if someone is into listening to the lectures of Neville Goddard, they should listen to Joseph Murphy too, because there's certain things that Neville stress a lot upon, and there's certain things that Joseph Murphy stress a lot upon. Like, for example, Joseph Murphy speaks a lot on the subconscious mind more than Neville. Okay, Neville more explain the metaphysical understanding more about the Bible and so on, and getting into the feeling that you wish fulfill. But when it comes to the more scientific part of it, Joseph Murphy goes more into the scientific part of it and show you how the anatomy really works and how to activate, you know, your chakras and all of these things. So I would encourage people to get Joseph Murphy work and Neville Goddard's work.
Yes, yes. There is a beautiful book, How to Use Your Healing Power, I guess, by Joseph Murphy. And that book is actually very much on the lines of what Neville has been speaking. In the Power of Your Subconscious Mind, you don't find so much connection. But if you look into the later works of Joseph Murphy as well, he has somewhere included the part of wish fulfilled, you know, getting into the state, and also the consciousness, awareness. So that's amazing. That's something I wanted to add up.
Yes, and just to add from what you're saying too, because there's a lot of people, they just listen to teachers on the internet, but some people, they do not read for themselves. Okay, you gotta feed the brain. It's like, for example, a muscle. A muscle would not grow if you do not feed it with nutrients, and you have to exercise that muscle. So you have to exercise that muscle, and you have to feed it with nutrients if your muscle gonna grow. That's on the physical realm, okay? So too on the spiritual realm, we have to feed our mind, so we have to get the right kind of information by reading also. And by reading and getting a better understanding, it will give us more faith in ourselves, more faith to trust the power that is within us. So I would definitely encourage people to read more, invest in books.
So there's one more question that is connected to what you're discussing. If imagination is the reality, then what's this physical reality?
Well, what we are seeing is a result of imagination. Everything we are seeing is as a result of imagination. That's why you're told that all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Many people think that him is a man who existed 2,000 years ago, but it's not true. It's just a personification that represents the human imagination. So everything in this world, it was first a thought, it was first an idea, and it was first imagined. So it's like, if you see in the shadow, the reality is what is cast in the shadow. So what we are seeing here is the shadow. Okay, and imagination is the reality.
Adding on something to it is, it's like the reality that you see is the stale food, yesterday's food that has just come up right now, and whatever you're imagining is like it is just a part, one of the million possibilities that are existing. So there is nothing that is set for the next second. When you imagine something, you have the opportunity to still choose a different scenario, to choose a different perspective. This physical world is just a delayed version, like you mentioned, the shadow.
Yes, it is, and that's why you can change it, because you're told about the potter, and the potter having power over the clay. Is your imagination have power to change things and to shape things how it wants it to be? Because let's say you was imagining something and then you have a change of mind. That is you remolding it into an image that is more favorable to you. And that's the power you have as the potter. Okay? existing from the place of imagination. That's the power. That's not the power of Caesar. Okay? That's the only power there is, because that's the power that gives you the power of Caesar. And that is why people need to grab hold of this power.
There is one more question. How to change limiting beliefs and be more secure within our skin?
Okay, the first thing you have to do, as I said before, it would always be this answer. It always goes back to self. It always goes back to love. It all goes back to loving yourself, embracing yourself, appreciating yourself. Because you see, the concept you hold about yourself would mean how you would see things. Okay, because everything, the way how you respond to everything have to do with the concept of yourself. Everything is a reflection of yourself.
And
so for that person, I would.
Sorry, please.
So yeah, for that person who's struggling with limiting beliefs, I would definitely encourage them to go before the mirror and face themselves and speak to themselves and affirm the best things that they can affirm until they become so accustomed and it becomes so habitual that they start having this right feeling of what they've been affirming in the mirror. Because when they look in the mirror, they're beholding their true self, their true image. Okay? So I would definitely encourage a person to go there and change. Look in the mirror and change yourself.
Yes. Also on the similar lines, like, why to change the limiting beliefs? Assume yourself to be an entirely different person. You do not have to be that, but initially you can just play. Assumption means you don't even know if it's right or wrong, if it's true or false. You're just playing with the idea as what would it be like if you were this person. So, just go ahead and assume for fun. And there is one beautiful story that Neville talks about where Abdullah, being a black man, he was so bold. He was not at all focused on him being a different skin color. He would boldly claim that everywhere I go, even the sections that are restricted for me are opened up for me. So, it's not about your skin. It's about the perception that you hold that this is the way the world is looking at me. And that is why you're being stopped.
Yes, that's so true. It's not. It has nothing to do with the complexion of the skin, where country you're born. It all have to do with the mind. It's all mind games. Okay, and you have to conquer your mind. And once you conquer your mind, you conquer everything that is on the outside. So Abdullah was living in a realm of love, and because he was living in a realm of love, he did everything based on love. And love has to do with having the right concept of yourself. So where people are facing like racism and I'm trying to get the other word there.
Casteism, secularism.
Yeah, where people are facing these things, right? It is because they are accepting it from within. But if you reject it from within, you will realize that if there is no enemy within, then there is no enemy on the outside. So everything actually comes from you. It's from your consciousness, from how you perceive things. So it is very important that you have the right concept of yourself. That's why I have a book called Your Mood is Your Fortune. Because the way how you feel about yourself. So everybody's fortune is wrapped up in their mood. How they feel about themselves, the concept they hold about themselves. So if you hold a certain concept about yourself based on the color of your skin, you'll get a certain result, as we would have seen with the young man and Neville, who said he was discriminated. That's what I was trying to remember, discriminated against because of the color of his skin. And then Neville showed him what he learned from Abdullah, what Abdullah told him concerning the Sphinx, and it gave assurance to him, and he changed his thinking about himself and the way he feels about himself. And just because he changed the concept of himself, his mood created his fortune. And he said, Neville, right now I am making over $250,000 a year. And Neville said that was a lot of money in those days. And it is still up to today, it's still a lot of money.
Yes, that's amazing. And
so your wealth, let me just say this one piece. So your wealth is based upon the concept you hold about yourself.
Yes. I'm just trying to, go through it, sink in. Okay, there is another question. Every time anything bad happens with me, I start opening my bad past. How can I overcome that?
Well, the person have to stop telling themselves the old story and have to change the narrative. You have to tell yourself about the new story. What is the new story now that is happening? Okay, do not go back in the past. Okay, live in the now because there's only now. So that person have to live in the now. So that person have to ask themselves what success means to me now. Okay? And I would encourage that person to write down every day what success really means to them for that particular day. And they live day by day. Okay? Instead of living in the past. Change your story. You must change your story and tell yourself the new story. Because as I would have mentioned before, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. Whatever you impress on your subconscious mind, that is what your subconscious mind would give to you. That is why a lot of people need to get more familiar with the subconscious mind and get out of the realm of right and wrong. Religion is what makes us believe in right and wrong. Okay? Nothing is right or wrong, it's just thinking make it so.
Yes. Your perception is the thing that makes the difference. Just to add something to this question, you know what? Even if you start opening up the bad past, I would say very lovingly start accepting that yes, I created this. This didn't happen to me, but I created this. So if I have been creating all of this, what do I create right now? A better version, a better storyline, a better future. And forgive yourself for the bad past. Like say it's okay, it's fine. It was a story. I created it unconsciously. Now I'm choosing something better. So forgive yourself for what stories you have been building up, what experiences you have had. Start taking responsibility. That is kind of a way where you're buying the pearl. And you start seeing the shift.
Yes, it's very important that you mentioned a very powerful word, which is forgiveness, because forgiveness equals to love. And I just want to add to what you said there concerning forgiveness, because before I could have gotten the experiences that I would have experienced and now having the life that I'm having now, I remember quite vividly where I would have felt very much led to go to people who myself and them was not on good terms and make things right with them. And I was not to think about who was right or who was wrong. I was just to forgive them and forgive myself and move on from there. So forgiveness is very, 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 very powerful, and it's very important in one's life if they're going to expand and grow and they want to see their life the way how they wanted to see it. They have to learn to forgive themselves and forgive everyone who ever hurt them in any way. You have to forgive them because forgiveness equals love. Yeah.
Yes. Forgiveness equals love. Forgiveness equals forgetfulness. What you forget, when you forget something, you manifest something different.
Yes, because it comes like if you change your whole perspective of how you see things, and seeing it from a different angle, and the angle from which you're seeing it, that is what would show up itself in your 3D world.
Yes. And something that I've noticed is it's not like, okay, forgiving, I'm doing something for the other person. But when I forgive something, it's like I'm freeing myself from the same repeating patterns to happen. So it's fine.
Yes.
Even if it's about somebody else, forgiving it right now, I'll be free out of it. I'll free from this event happening again. And that's the true freedom.
Yes, and when you forgive someone, you're actually forgiving yourself because that person is just yourself pushed out. It's just another version of you. Everyone is just another version of you. Everyone is just to show you you. Yes. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful. I often believe this. Like every person that I see is nothing but my assumptions coming up to show me who I am being.
Yes.
It's beautiful. So yeah, we do have another question. How can we manifest not having made a mistake in the past?
Well, everyone will make some form of mistake because you learn from your mistake. Your mistakes, what we refer to as mistakes, are just lessons. We call them mistakes, but they're not mistakes. Like for example, I think it was the founder of electricity. They asked him um, how he was able to, come up with such a great idea and so on, and how many times he tried. And
Yeah.
he said over 2 times, and the thought was mistake. He said mistake. It was 2,000 ways he learned that it could not be done. So it all goes back to your perspective. So someone can see something as a mistake, and someone can see it as something to make them grow and expand. It's just how you see it. So it's a lesson. It's not really a mistake. It's a lesson.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Am I right? You hearing me? Are you back? Yeah, it's good now.
Yes. So Andrew has another question. Share with the audience on how Abdullah taught you what wealth is.
Okay. How Abdullah taught me what wealth is. I come to realize that wealth is a state of mind. And how Abdullah really taught me to know what wealth is when he taught Neville how to get to Barbados without money and without work. And all Neville had to do was have a change of mind, a change of thinking. So that's how I come to realize that real wealth is mental and that everything is psychological. And that is why I'm encouraging each and every person to look within and to believe in themselves, because wealth and poverty is all a mindset. Okay? So just by understanding that the Bible is a psychological drama and that it's a book of mind science, it helped me to understand what is true wealth, and helped me also to realize that when people interpret the Bible as if it is literal and as if it is secular history, it would keep them limited and it would keep them in poverty. Okay? So the right interpretation of the Bible taught to Neville Goddard by Abdullah is what taught me true wealth.
Right. So there's one more. Self-realization made racism disappear in my life. Will you one day write a book on realization?
Just let me put on my glasses to see this. Let me see. Wait, just a minute. Okay, self-realization made racism disappear in my life. Will you one day write a book on self? Oh yes, of course, because I normally teach Matthew 6:22 that says, if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light, right? And when your whole body is full of light, that would bring you into self-realization and teach you that your real identity is your divinity. And that will remove all false identity, because racism and these things come from false identity. So definitely I have to do some writing and self-realization, because what I really teach is the message of self-realization. The single eye is called the single eye message of self-realization. That's my main teaching. The single eye message of self-realization. It's based on Matthew 6:22. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. So definitely, I would definitely put that in place.
Okay.
That's something in the making.
Review your books now.
Yeah.
Yes. There's one more question. How do we know whether our subconscious has been impressed or not?
Okay, speaking from experience, when my subconscious mind is impressed, I normally vibrate. Okay, I normally have a lot of powerful vibrations. Like for example, let me share something with the person who's asking that too. Let me share a technique that you can use. Okay, there's a sleep and wake technique that is very powerful. Right, just before you go to bed, you speak to your subconscious mind to wake you up at a certain time, whether is it 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you can have the desire for your subconscious mind to wake you up so you can go to the bathroom and pee or something, and then after that you go back in bed with your intention. Okay, and it's a very very powerful moment for you to visualize or even to affirm and go back to bed, because that drowsy sleepy state will still have you under certain brain waves. Okay, and if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, you hear he explain about the different brain waves. So we keep it in that brain wave that can easily impress upon your subconscious mind. So that's a very good technique that that person can use. But for me, if I'm using my imagination like in the day and I vibrate, I will have a nice, happy, satisfying, contented feeling because I know I impress on my subconscious mind. But for me, I vibrate. I normally vibrate.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
just adding a point. Your subconscious. Can you hear me? I'm not sure.
I'm hearing. I'm
Okay.
hearing. I'm hearing.
Your subconscious is your most obedient partner, and you don't have to be so specific. It hears you, and it's like your word
It,
is your order. It's its order. So you don't have to worry if your subconscious is impressed or not.
exactly, because your word is your want. And as I said before, too much people worry about whether they're doing the thing right or wrong. Do not get caught up with whether you're doing it right or wrong. Just have fun. Okay, just believe, just act. It's like a farmer. Let me put it simple for to help people. It's like a farmer. When a farmer goes out, he clears the land and he sows the seed, and that his work is finished. He doesn't go home worrying about whether the seed is gonna grow, and he doesn't go the next day and dig up back the seed to see if the seed is growing. Okay, he has faith because he knows whatever he sow is gonna give him back that fruit. Okay, and so he plants in faith and he reap in faith. It's the same thing. You just do the act and leave it alone. Do not worry yourself about whether am I doing it right or wrong, or if there's a perfect technique. There's no perfect technique. Just do what you're told to do. That's what Abdullah really told Neville. That's what he told Neville. Just do what you're told to do. And then when Neville said, well, I'm going third class, Abdullah said, who told you you were going third class? No, I told you that you were going fourth class. That's it. Just believe. Just believe. Okay? And just one more thing for that person, I would recommend to get the book The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. That's the only technique you need. Believe. Yeah.
Right. Right. So there's another question that has come up. How to come out from fear that not leads to move forward. Like, okay, this person has some fearful thoughts and they're scared that it might come again in the future. So how to come out from this fear that it shouldn't happen in the future?
Okay. But I would encourage a person not to feed the fears. Fear will come. Okay. But you can replace fear by having more noble thoughts. Okay. So whatever things are good, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are pure, whatever things are honest, what has virtue, you must think on these things. So you choose your thoughts more wisely, but do not try to avoid negative thoughts because they will come. But just be aware of them when they come, that you can stop them and you do not entertain them. Because we become what we think about most of the time. So if most of the time you're thinking positively, the positive thinking is like the light that would remove the darkness. So your light would always overcome your darkness. So your more positive, dominating thoughts would always overshadow those negative thoughts. So that's how the person will have to deal with it. You don't try to stop negative thoughts. They will come, but you know how to deal with them.
Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. So there's one question. What is your advice on living in the end and assumptions?
Okay, when you're living in the end is the beginning. Okay, so let's say that person is thinking of a job and they can imagine themselves shaking hands and hearing the person say, "Welcome on board." That's all they need to do. Shake hands and hear the voice saying, "Welcome on board." That is living from the end. Now, when that takes place, that's the beginning of the fulfillment of your dream. Okay? So when you're living from the end, you're living from the thing. You're not thinking about it. You're living from it. Okay? Which means you're already in possession of it. Okay? And you asked a question on assumption too. You mentioned something as an assumption. I think it was two questions in one. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're living from the end, right? You have to know that the thing is already done. So you don't go looking for it again because it's done. Right? You can have something in your possession and still go and seeking for it. Okay? So once you go to the end, it's finished. You're not supposed to go wondering if you still have it when you already have it.
Yes. Yes. I love what my coach says. Candace says, "Your true end is your only friend."
Is your only friend.
Yes.
Yes. So most people think about the thing instead of think from it. Okay. So it's like if a person is thinking about getting a new job or getting a raise or getting a promotion on the job, they'll never get the result they're seeking if they're just thinking of it. But if they think from it and they can see themselves sitting in the office of the employer and hearing the employer says, "We all have come together to give you this promotion." And that's all they need to hear and see. When they do that, they're living from it. They are not a spectator looking on. They are the actor in their own movie. They're playing the starring role, they're playing the director role and the producer role. So you must put yourself in it. When you're living from the end, you must put yourself in it.
Yes. Yes.
And think from it. Thinking from the wish already fulfilled.
To continue, any more questions, or do you want to wind up? Your call. I just have to.
We can continue.
Okay.
How long will we be speaking for now? How long? How long will we be speaking?
It's been an hour, I guess. So I thought I would just remind you.
Okay. If there's any more questions, we definitely like to answer the people's question.
Yes.
We can give them another 15 minutes. We can give them another 15 minutes.
Perfect. Perfect.
If they have questions.
Yes.
I'm not hearing you. Speak. Let me tell. Speak. Let me hear if I'm hearing you.
Yes, it's good. It's good now.
Yeah. It's good now. It's good.
Yes. So, how do you have any specific suggestion for our audience as how to live in the end? Like you mentioned about the job thing, but do you want to give something, some techniques, some tips, to live in the end?
Okay. The very first thing is that a person have to be definite about what they want. That's the very first thing. You have to be definite about what you want and write down what you want. It is very important for you to write down what you want and making your vision clear and understanding that the way you go to bed and the way you awake is what really shapes your fear and earth is very important before you can live from the end. So having the right kind of information and the right kind of understanding is very important. I believe that using the drowsy sleepy state is one of the most accurate way to live from the end, and you do not need a lot of things to be done when you're living from the end. You can just imply one scene of living from the end. So it could be hugging a friend, it could be the shaking of a hand, it could be someone congratulating you. Okay, it's just some short scenes from the end. Okay, it is very simple. Very simple.
Okay. So there's one question that we have. What is the best way to train your subconscious mind?
Repetitions. Repetition is the best way to train your subconscious mind. Okay, because even as little children, in order for them to program us, they have to have us repeating certain things over and over, repeating certain mantras. That's how they educate us in school. That's how they teach us to do our 2-time tables, our 3-time, 4-time, 5-time tables. And we remember them because we impress them on our subconscious mind by repetition. That is why people must use affirmation. Affirmation is for you to basically practice repetition, saying the same thing over and over until you start to develop the feeling that it is true and that it is so. So it's a part of your faith. Way to help to train your subconscious.
Mm-hmm. I've received part of this question. Okay, I guess this person is trying to say that, okay, I'll just connect the questions. When suddenly you're looping your life, when suddenly your life starts, coming as a combination of past and old stories are reflecting, how can in that situation be calm and change their old story because it's affecting them? It's because they start becoming anxious.
Okay, sometimes I think if I'm getting the question right, I think sometimes we have certain karmas in our life and some certain debts we have to pay because of certain thoughts we would have had before, and they're still happening in our life. Yeah. But now we change. There comes a time when those old patterns would stop because we change our thinking. So sometimes when you now start to come to this truth, there's some old things from the past that will pop up back in your life. And it's because of your karmic debt. Okay, because what you sow, you will reap. But then after a while, you will see those old things no longer popping up in your life, and you just see your life heading in a new direction. Okay, so it's not a sprint; it's a journey. This whole path, it's a journey. Okay, so everything's not gonna happen overnight. Okay, everything will take its own time. Okay, so you have to face some things that you would have sown before you can be on this straight and narrow way.
Yes. Just adding on something to what you said, like initially we spoke about our consciousness is the only reality. So even if the situation is coming that is making anxious, why do I care? I've already seen my desire in my imagination, and that is my only truth. That is my only reality. That's how Neville received the Islam by Abdullah. Abdullah constantly said, "You are already in Barbados. How can I discuss? How can I see anything with you about the New York world?" So this is how, you keep sending yourself back to your end story, back to your end scene, very lovingly, very gently.
Yes, and when you do that, that's doubt, that's fear, and fear and doubt is what will block the subconscious mind. Okay, so the only one who can really block manifestation is you. No one else can block your manifestation but you. Okay, so people are the one who are actually blocking their manifestation by questioning what they're doing. Do not question. Just do what you're supposed to do and leave the rest up to a greater power.
Yes. There's one more question. How do I make the law of assumption stay longer?
When they stay long, I don't quite understand. How do I make the law of assumption?
I guess you're saying that how to make this practice more stronger and for long term.
Oh, okay. You have this. Everything that we're speaking here must be a lifestyle. It's not something that you done as an experiment, because a lot of people can get themselves in trouble by trying to experiment with this to see if it's gonna work, because it's gonna work. And that's why they say be careful of what you wish for. So you have to make it a lifestyle and live every day using the law of assumption. So it means going to bed conscious about what you want, and awake, being conscious, and throughout the day, you be the policeman of your thoughts, and continue living in assuming the life that you want to be. Okay, you can use inner talking. Practice inner talking every day. Conversate with yourself and have the best conversation that you can have with yourself. That's how you can have the life assumption staying longer.
Yes.
Like for example, every day of my life I say I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, and I am wise. Every day of my life.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. There's an addition that I want to make. Like Neville said, assume yourself to be directly that person. Straight away go to that assumption that you're this person. I would suggest, start looking ahead. You are 10 days ahead from now, and you're looking back and you're seeing that, oh my God, since 10 days, I have been using my this law at the best. Like it's been 6 months, it's been a year. Since a year, I have been the most amazing manifestor. So this is some way where you constantly stay on this track that I use.
Yes, and that's why it's good to write things down. It's like you're keeping a record. Okay, I remember someone reached out to me and they tell me that they thought they wasn't manifesting anything until they found a book that they had things written in, and then they realized they've been manifesting all this time and they thought they wasn't manifesting anything. Okay, so it's good to keep a record or have a diary. Okay, like a gratitude journal. A person can have a gratitude journal where they give thanks for things that they haven't seen happen as yet. And after a while, you just put it away in the house, and then sometime later you go and you get that book and you realize there's a lot of things that you would have written in that book that you already manifested.
Yes, I agree with you. Similar kind of exercise was suggested to me by my coach Candice. I was a lot stressed trying to make things happen. She was like, no, you're just going to sit down, write 15 to 20 things every day that you want. Different things, random things. Doing that, it so happened that all of the dreams that I've been desiring for so long started happening so quickly, so effortlessly. So, yes, that's a beautiful exercise that you should, give yourself a chance to do. That will help you stay easy, calm, and not so stressed about making something happen.
Yes, because you see, some people try to use willpower. This is about willpower. This must be done effortlessly. Okay, it must be done easily and effortlessly. It doesn't base on how much willpower you try to put, because you're not creating anything. Everything is already here. All you just need to do is just vibrate on that frequency, and it's just as simple as believing. That's why, again, I would recommend that book. the magic of believing. Everything is based on our belief. Everything is based on our belief.
Yes. Yeah, so we have one more question. I always end up reacting to my 3D, aka my unwanted thoughts. So, any advice for it?
Because you're living from the 3D. If you're looking at the effect and allow the effects to determine your life, but you're supposed to be looking at the cause, and the cause is because of your thinking. So all that person needs to do is fix their thinking by being more engaged in the right thoughts each and every day. So in that case, you have to become, as I said before, the policeman of your thought. You have to monitor yourself throughout the day and see what you're thinking on most of the time. And for that person, I would recommend for them to listen to The Strangest Secret in the World by All Nightingale. If they've never listened to that before, they can check it out. It's on YouTube. The Strangest Secret in the World by All Nightingale, where you speak about we become what we think about most of the time.
Okay. There's one question. Can you share your technique on the mirror manifestation?
Okay, when it comes to the mirror, you have to realize that this life itself is a mirror, and everything that you're beholding is an out picturing of yourself. So when you go before the mirror and you see the image that is in the mirror, you have to be more aware that you are seeing the self of you that no one else can see but you. And that is what constitutes faith, because you're told that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Okay? Therefore, when you look in the mirror, you're looking into the law of liberty. Okay? Because each and every one of us here, we are reflecting, as I said before, what is happening on the outside. So looking into the mirror is looking into yourself. So once you have that understanding, whatever you do in the mirror, with that understanding, it will help you to believe in what you're doing in the mirror, and it will work for you, because, as I said before, everything is based on belief. Everything is based on belief.
Okay, there are some questions coming up. Okay, there's this one that Andrew is sharing.
Share with the audience your view on excitement. Oh, someone there, share with the audience your view on excitement creates the law of assumption. Okay, I did a video on that, speaking about excitement, because many people go before the mirror and they refuse to become excited. Okay, now as we know, emotion is energy in motion, and we know that everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. So when you allow yourself to become excited, or to be happy, or to be glad, that can impress a feeling more easily upon your subconscious mind. So many times I go in the mirror, I would sing and I would dance in front of the mirror. Okay, sometimes I would rap my affirmation, like if I'm saying I'm happy, I'm doing inner rapping where I am happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I am wise, and so on, and I have fun. So excitement have to do with having fun. It's just me putting it another way in saying you must have fun with it. Have fun with it. It's something that you must have fun with. Some people take life too serious, okay, and they dwell too much on right and wrong. Just have fun. Dance in the mirror. Clap in the mirror. Dance in the mirror. Flex in the mirror. Do all these things in the mirror and enjoy yourself while you're performing. Okay? Because as I said before, everything is an out picture of yourself. You got to be like a child, very playful.
Yes. I like
and that is why. And that is why you cannot be around doubters. You have to be careful the environment you're around, because if you're around doubtful people, you will not be able to do that with doubtful people around you. Yes.
Right. Okay, so there's one more. Someone is asking, what's your experience? What's your birth from the skull experience? I'm not sure.
Okay, what you about from the skull experience? Okay, the bird from the skull. I can tell you the experience, but to be honest with you, you have to experience it yourself to really know what it's like. But I'm still gonna share the experience with you. Okay. Now, there's a light that is within your forehead. Okay, and that light is like it's a cloud also, and there's a blue cloud, and there is a orange looking cloud also. And when those two clouds meet at the base of your spine, as it did happen to me, is as if they embrace each other, and that's where you start to get this great mighty shaking or a great earthquake. It's a great vibration. Okay, and that's where you will awake. When you awake within yourself, it will be the opening of an eye. It was an eye that opens within me. And when I ascend like a fiery being, that fiery being is like a flash of a lightning. Okay, it's like a flash of a lightning. And when I ascend, I change form. Okay, and I came out of my skull in another form. This form which I came out of my skull, it was not a solid form. Okay, it was not like matter. It was between liquid and it's like molten, like molten rocks, like lava, like molten rock, something like that. But when I came out, there's a part of me was still in my skull. I'm gonna push the rest of myself out. When I came out, then there was the birth. Okay, so it's something that I can explain it and so on, but it's only until a person have the experience that they would understand. Because I thought it was death. I thought I was gonna die. Okay, when it started happening to me, and at the time I didn't really have the right understanding what it was really all about. But now I come to realize that it's the true virgin birth. Okay, I come to realize that Golgotha is the skull of man. I come to understand when Neville speak about David being humanity, and when his son called him father, I had that same experience after I would have had the birth from the skull, but I wasn't keeping track of time because I didn't have any knowledge. But sometime after I had the birth from the skull is when my son appeared to me in a dream and called me father also. So that's how I knew these things, that what Neville was saying, that they are real, and I could have chased them way back to our ancient African spirituality and know that Abdullah would have already had that experience also. But he wanted Neville to have the experience also, but he taught him the law first. Because when you have a knowledge of the law, then later on in life you can have the experience of the promise, such as the birth from the skull.
Okay. I have not yet experienced promise, but definitely it's done. It's done. The promise has come on to me.
Of course, you just gotta believe.
There's a question. What's a great technique to align with the energy of abundance?
The technique to align with the energy of abundance is to believe that you are abundant. Okay, because everything is based on belief. Belief is the foundation. I think sometimes people get mistaken with technique than understanding or realization. Realization is more important than technique. Okay, applied knowledge is wisdom. Okay, and the drowsy, sleepy state is the best state to affirm anything or to create anything, because you're changing from the 3D world into the 4th dimension, and it's as if you have a genie, and what is your wish would be his command. And let me just say this. I had experience already concerning this drowsy, sleepy state and this light in the forehead, okay, which I wouldn't go too much into detail with, but I can say to you that most of us, we fall asleep unconscious, but you can actually fall asleep being conscious for a moment. Yes, it can be for that short moment being conscious, whatever you wish. it would happen. But it's for a very short moment. But the only reason why I would not be like, like recommend it and tell people to try it that much, because you can find yourself outside of your body. Okay. And sometimes if a person doesn't know how to get back, they can panic and they can cause damage to themselves. Okay. So that drowsy sleepy state is the number one. That's the number one. That's the number one. So there's no special technique. Just believe and do what you're supposed to do. But utilize that drowsy sleepy state. Utilize the way how you go to bed and the way you awake. That's it. Simple.
Amazing. Amazing. So, do you have any last bit of advice, something that you want to give to the audience?
Yes, I would like to tell people, go with what works best for you. Some people using their imagination works for them. Some people using affirmation works for them. Some people scripting works for you. Use scripting. Some people journaling. Some people going before the mirror. I love to go before the mirror. Okay, because there was where I start loving myself first, from the mirror. Because I remember one time I was involved in a religion that used to discourage you from going in front of the mirror, because they were saying that being too much of yourself and and so on. Okay, so, and I never even though they teach that, I never went away from the mirror, because I always love to look at my physique in the mirror and so on. So I've always loved the mirror. So I use a lot of mirror technique and so on. But I can tell anyone that state akin to sleep is the number one. I tell anyone that. And it's the easiest for anyone, because everyone goes to sleep and everyone awakes. Okay? All you have to do is discipline yourself, and at least say 5, 10, 15 minutes before you go to bed, you get involved in something that's going to help to motivate you toward your goals and achieve. You can listen to some message or something, or you repeat something over and over and over and over and over and over what is your desire, and you go to bed. Whatever you impress on your subconscious mind just before bed is the most important and the best technique anyone can use. So that's my encouragement to everyone who's listening.